Hello guys, I am back from another review and today we're talking about what if Deku was the only boy with a quote-unquote quirk. So, in the last video we talked about how after, the whole incident in the, sports festival, well, let's just say everybody, including some heroes and also power-hungry women that want to, gain a little bit more power and influence, well, after seeing that this kid, aka a boy that seems to have a quirk, well, they sort of became, wanting to try and find him, including a certain All for One. So yeah, and as for Izuku has been worrying about this because after knowing about the repercussions about, everybody knowing that he's the only boy with a quote unquote quirk, or at least a, somewhat of a power, well, let's just say they're definitely gonna go and try to, literally and figuratively fuck him. Yeah, so after the Hero Commissions, after the Hero Commission heard about this, he or they would basically send one of their, agents, specifically Hawks. After Hawks basically came towards, or at least go towards, UA and basically, enters, Izuku and Ida's room, she would request to basically, bring Izuku and also, Ida to the, Hero Commission's office to basically go talk to the Hero Commission themselves. So, Izuku would basically, wait for a second. He would accept the invitation to go to the, Hero Commission's office so he can explain his powers and also try and not to get his, balls busted, let's just say that. So, he would bring in a few, of his friends, not really friends, were like, acquaintances, specifically, obviously, wait for a second, god dang it, Aizawa. So, after going there with Aizawa and also, Ida, they would basically, make it towards the, to the Hero Commission's office. And after explaining their whole ordeal and also the, the reason how he got his powers thanks to the help of, Jack the Ripper, well, they would think that it's quite a, interesting ability. And after knowing that, Izuki can literally pass down these powers to, his children, and also, probably those children can also gain the powers of other hero experience besides, Jack the Ripper, Lancelot, and also Coco Lane. Well, they really want to bring him into a, like the equivalent of like the CRA from, Naruto. And if you don't know what this is CRA, well, search it up, because it's basically, alright, because my clan is basically, non-existent, why not fuck every girl in the every single girl in the fucking village? So yeah, so after, that, they were also told that he should probably be in, I guess you could say in a hero type of like situation, or in this case, decide to become a hero even though he's a boy. So, they would basically give both Izuku and also, well, wait for a second, give Ida a version, or at least like a, I guess you can say like a hero license, but, a bit special, let's just say that. So, it would give them, protection from, let's just say, like, things of that sort, like, for example, like kidnappers, because if people were to, try and capture him, well, they would probably either, kill him because, the power, or, well, you'll basically get it, go into his pads, let's just say that. So, yeah, so he would basically gain protection and also become a hero, which Izuku wanted to be for so long, ever since he was a kid, or at least used to be. So, yeah, so, after being told of this, he would basically start to leave with Aizawa and also, Ida. But unfortunately, somebody was basically watching them. Specifically, a person from the League of Villains, and that person was a spy, so that All for One can get some information about it. And let's just say, oh boy, she's been wanting to try and find Izuku for a long time now. And she wants to, not really take his quirk, but more like, you basically get it. So yeah, so that is basically what happened last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. So, as everybody's basically in class, specifically, some of the students of class 1A, including, not really including, I meant like not including, Ida, because let's just say something happened to her. So, as everybody's basically sitting down, everybody would realize that Ida is not there, as the teacher, specifically Aizawa, would basically came up, as she would say this: "Alright class, we're gonna be having a special announcement. Your classmate, and you probably know him, will be joining our class. Or more specifically, they would be becoming heroes. Or more specifically, heroes with special, how do I say this? She would basically start, tapping on her, not really tapping, more like, using her hand to basically prop up her, head. She would basically, like, put her, hand on her chin, as she would basically start thinking, as she would basically start, thinking in her mind, as she would basically say this: the reason why they're going to become heroes this early is because of special circumstances, let's just say that. As everybody was just like, confused, but also some of them were a bit, suspicious. As one of them would say this: wait, Aizawa, why are they becoming heroes that early? And Izuku, why is Izuku becoming a hero too? I mean, he's a boy, so... As she would say this: well, they were visited by the Hero Commission, or more specifically, a representative for the Hero Commission. So, and during their conversation last time with the Hero Commission, well, he was told, and also, wait for a second, because of special circumstances, they were told that they're going to be becoming heroes pretty early. And not only that, they also have special, I guess you can say, properties, I guess. They're also going to be protected by some of the police because of the whole people finding out about Izuku thing. As one of them would say this: but still, why is Izuku becoming a hero too? I mean, he's a boy, so... As he would say this, she, well, the Hero Commission wants him to become a hero mostly because, well, they think his power is interesting and decide for him to become a hero so he can protect everybody. Including, well, let's just say there's a special other reason why. And we'll be talking about it later when we go back to, your dorms. And Izuku and, well, Ida are not going to be joining for obvious reasons. And the reason why Ida is not here is because she's currently doing some hero work with Izuku. As everybody would just be in shock hearing this, as Bako would just think in her mind, I just hope she's not doing anything with Izuku. She would basically start gritting her teeth thinking about it. What do I mean by this? Well, just imagine them, just imagine her, imagining both, Ida and Izuku having... having a bit of fun time, let's just say that. So yeah, after Bako thought about this, thought about that thing, Bako would basically start to become a little bit pissy. So yeah, let's go back to Izuku right now, with also Ida. So, Ida and Izuku are currently working as heroes, kind of. They're basically like heroes with, special circumstances, let's just say that. So, they would basically start, roaming around the city as they would take down some, low-level thugs with the help of some heroes to basically monitor them. They're basically just like heroes, but they also have to have protection with them. Specifically, this hero was... In this case, this hero was Lady Nagant. If you remember from the manga, Lady Nagant literally was, or at least used to be, a member of the, Hero Commission. And apparently she was pretty good, so in this one, she's not going to become a villain at all. And also, she's now my current favorite waifu, just because. So, she would basically start protecting both, Ida and also, Izuku, and sort of became a little bit infatuated with Izuku after a while, after seeing his, fight with some of these villains, which, after noticing him and after seeing that it was actually, Izuku as in the, boy with the quirk, they would start to become afraid because after seeing his, powers in action in the sports festival, they would start to become a little bit afraid and start running away. Thankfully, Izuku defeated them before they can escape. So yeah, So, Izuku and also, wait for a second. also Ida, and also, the Nagant would have a lot of hero work and also getting a lot of requests from other, hero agencies to basically help them out. And recently, when they were, going back to, to the dorms, well, Izuku and also, Ida would see all of the girls, including, Aizawa. Well, not really Aizawa, but mostly the girls of Class 1A, seem to be blushing a lot. Except for some odd reason, well, Izumi. Izumi seems to be not there at all. As Izuku would say this, what happened, guys? As all of the girls would basically look at, Izuku, except for, well, wait for a second. Except for Aizawa. So, as all of the girls would just say, oh, it's nothing, they would start to, laugh a little, including, well, Bakugo for some odd reason. But one of the girls, like, I meant, except for one of the girls, specifically Mineta. Mineta seems to have those, how do I say this? These weird ass, like, Haigao, like, heart eyes, if you basically get what I mean. So she would start looking at Izuku weirdly, as Izuku would recognize that look, because, after noticing those looks from his hero work last time, well, from most of the girls, specifically, like, civilians, after seeing the, sports festival, well, Izuku would notice that look and basically started looking away to go back to his room. So yeah, apparently, while Izuku and, Ida were gone, apparently, Aizawa decided to tell them about the whole, well, predicament with Izuku. And so told them that they're going to be, how do I say this? That they're gonna have, well, Izuku have a harem. Yeah, that's the simple gist of it. So yeah, everybody was pretty happy about this, including, Bakugo, even though she's not really keen on basically, sharing Izuku. Mostly because, remember, she's still had a big crush and sort of had this, has this feeling of guilt towards, Izuku, because it's technically her fault for basically, causing all of this pain for Izuku. But after Izuku forgave her, well, she wants to, thank him by, let's just say, thanking him by using her body, let's just say that. So yeah, a few weeks have gone by since Izuku, started doing hero work with, Ida and the rest of those, other heroes, like, for example, the Nagant, and maybe, like, some other, heroes, like, for example, Ryuko, and wait for a second, and maybe Kami Woods, yeah, I could imagine that, so, yeah, so, after a few days have gone by, or weeks, well, Ida would be told that she's going back to school, including Izuku, because apparently, because of, Izuku and also, Ida's basically, becoming heroes, they're going to be having a special thing for them. So yeah, so, when it's finally the next day of class, well, every single girl, including the, the general studies students, and some of the, support course students, remember, most of them were, like, almost all of them are basically girls. So, they would start looking at Izuku because, how powerful he is and also how he looks. Remember, he basically has some looks from, Kukulane, and Kukulane, in my eyes, looks pretty cool in my opinion, and also quite handsome, so just imagine him having that, similar look to Kukulane, and a bit of, I guess you could say, well, Jack the Ripper, Berserker. And, yeah, technically, Jack the Ripper Berserker doesn't really have a real form. What do I mean by this? Well, in the manga, or in the, light novel, apparently Jack the Ripper Berserker doesn't really have a real form. In fact, he mostly disguises himself as, like, any type of form, like, for example, policeman to a lady, and things of that sort. So, instead of that, Izuku, or in this case Jack, well, I would imagine him having the, the same appearance as Izuku. Or in my eyes, or at least in another case, well, I would imagine him having the same appearance as his master, which I don't know the name of, and just imagine him looking like this. Just imagine, like, Jack the Ripper looking like this. as well, because remember, he doesn't really have a physical form, or at least in the, light novel. So just imagine him almost resembling his, master, which I don't remember his name. So yeah, just imagine him just like this. So yeah, as every single girl there is basically, looking at him, and also some of the girls are basically glaring at, at Ida for basically walking with him. Not only that, they're holding freaking hands. So yeah, Ida would basically feel a bit uncomfortable, as when, both of them basically go into the classroom, everybody was completely surprised, and some of the girls, specifically, some of, Ida's classmates, would basically ask why Izuku's there. They would already know about it, thanks to the help of, wait for a second, thanks to the help of Aizawa. So Aizawa would basically explain that he's going to be getting his hero name, and technically going to be in the, how do I say this? Kind of like a student, but kind of not. So yeah. So, after, a while of basically talking about the whole reason that they're going to be picking their hero names, well, midnight would arrive as everybody is basically excited to pick their hero name. So, as everybody is basically, picking their hero name, it's finally Izuku's turn. So, as Izuku basically comes up, he would decide to just name himself just Berserker. The reason why he decided to go for Berserker is because he wants to, remember his old self. But not in the, I want to still be, the servant of, well, Mash Kirolight. But he wants to, remember and also motivate himself. What do I mean by this? Well, he wants to get revenge. Kind of. He wants to get revenge on, Mash Kirolight for basically turning him into this. But also wants to thank her. Kind of. For basically, thanks to her, he couldn't be, reunited with, both his sister and also, his used to be best friend, aka, Bakugo. So yeah, so after explaining why he decided to call himself Berserker, she would basically, say it's okay, specifically, midnight. So, as Izuku's basically there waiting for, everybody to pick their internship, apparently, Ida decided to go for the internship of Hawks. The reason why is because apparently Hawks is, remember, a member of the, wait for a second, a member of the Hero Commission. So it's better for them to basically, be in league with, or basically, decide to just basically, be in the, sights of the, Hero Commission, so they won't get attacked, like, for say, from, the League of Villains. So yeah, so after telling them, after picking their agency, they would start packing all of their things to go towards that agency, and so they would basically leave. So, when Izuku finally arrives at the hero agency I meant, specifically, Hawk's agency, Hawks would basically arrive there as they would basically, do a little tour. As every single girl there, including some of the heroes, would basically look at him, and they would start to think in their minds, is it wrong to basically fuck a child? I mean, Izuku's technically 16, so yeah, just imagine it just like that. So, as Hawks is basically finishing off the tour, well, she would basically tell, both Izuku and, Ida to basically start patrolling the city, with the help of of her, sidekick. Let's just say it's just like a random, hero. So, as all three of them would basically, go around the, city, basically, looking around, basically checking out, some alleyways, and basically defeating low-level thugs. So, after a while of doing that, well, it sort of became, kind of boring. But one day, they would basically, get alerted by another, agency that apparently that they're being attacked by a large monster. And apparently this monster almost resembles a large Nomu. As when Izuku saw this, Izuku would say this, finally something interesting. As, Ida would say this, I guess so, but still. I mean, that thing looks pretty big, so, as Izuku would say this, oh, come on, I can easily defeat it. As she would say this, well, you're a bit, how do we say this? She would basically, put her, chin up. Not really her chin, more like, she puts her hand on her chin as she would say this. You're a bit, arrogant, as Izuku would say this. I guess you're right, but I still am right. I mean, I'm pretty powerful, so. Besides, you have those command seals, and she would basically, bring up her hand as all three of the command seals are finally restored, allowing her to use, three, command seals once again. So yeah, so Izuku would basically, start to go with, Hawks and also, Ida to that, specific agency, and that agency is Endeavor's agency. So, currently, Endeavor and also Todoroki have been trying to, stop this Nobu from basically destroying, some of the, buildings and civilians. And some Nomus have basically recently appeared in portals, and some villains also arrived to basically terrorize the city as well. So, when Izuku saw all of this chaos, Izuku would basically get ready wielding up his, spear, as he would say this, "I'll go for the Nomu." Hey, wait for a second, wait. Hey Ida, as she would say this, "What is it, Izuku? I want you to take care of these guys." As they would see, several villains basically terrorizing the place, mostly, basically terrorizing some of the, civilians and basically taking everything that they want. So, Ida would basically comply as, Hawks would basically start flying away. As Izuku dropped to the, floor as he would start charging in, as some of the Nobus would see, and they would get killed by Izuku by using his spear. As Izuku would create several clones, as these clones would basically wield up weapons. So, while in the fight, Todoroki would notice Izuku as she would say this, "Wait, Izuku?" She would basically look over as she would basically create a blast of, ice and fire to basically repel herself. As she would say this, "Izuku, you're here!" And why are you here exactly? As Izuku would say this, "Well, we got on the alert, so," as she would say this, "Oh, right." As she would basically say this, "Just go with my father." Not really father, I meant your, go with my mother. She's pretty important and also pretty much the, kind of the cause of this. As Izuku would say this, "Cause?" As Izuku would basically, go with her towards, that area using his, main body instead of, he would basically, create another clone to basically take care of the, Nomu that he was fighting earlier. So, after, arriving at the, arriving at the site, specifically where Endeavor is basically trying to take care of, the Nomu seems to be looking towards, the skyscraper, aka, Endeavor's agency. But when he saw Izuku, well, the Nomu would start to, get ready for an attack towards Izuku, as the Nomu would basically open its mouth as it creates a large blast of energy. Izuku would basically, how do we say this, push, Ida away, as Izuku would basically say, "Kairoi Konak!" as he would create his two gauntlets, as instead of, stabbing into the, into the ground or anything of that sort, he would basically create a shield with his gauntlets to basically defend himself. After the blast was done, Endeavor would basically think in his mind, or her mind, "What did Izuku do? Is he okay?" As Izuku would be okay, as she would basically, be in relief, as she would think in her, she would think in her mind, "Wait, why did I..." She would basically, get that get that thought out of her mind. Specifically, why did she, be scared about Izuku, getting killed or getting hurt? But she does know that she's completely in love with him. And yeah, I'm probably gonna make, Endeavor a part of the ship. You can't stop me. It's my fucking what if. Anyway, so, wait for a second. So, after Todoroki got pushed, she would basically look towards Izuku, basically still fine, as she would say this, "Izuku, you saved me." As Izuku would say this, "Well, obviously, I'm a hero for God's sakes." As she would basically start to blush after hearing this, as she would basically, feel where she got pushed, specifically to her, chest. And it's almost right next to her, let's just say good, let's just say that. As she would say this, "Izuku, look!" As Izuku would look towards him, as he would see the gigantic fist of the, Nobu getting ready to crush him. As Izuku would basically, charge in, as he would basically wield up his sword, as he would scream out his noble phantasm's name, screaming out, "Erentite Overload!" As he would basically slice through the, Nobu's hand, as he would basically cut through the Nobu's, arm and basically, destroying it in an instant. As Izuku would say this to, Endeavor. Endeavor! As Endeavor would say this, what is it? As Izuku would say this, destroy the brain of the Nomu! As the Nomu seems to be looking at him, as he would say this, it's his only weakness, just destroy the goddamn brain! As she would say this, fine then. As she would start to create a spear made out of fire because if you didn't know, Endeavor was able to do that in the manga, or at least I think so. So, she would basically create a spear made out of fire as she would throw it at the Nomu's, brain. As when it does, it would connect as it would destroy the Nomu in an instant as it would start to fall down. Izuku would basically drop down to the ground as he would basically start, go away as he would basically think, Endeavor for basically, helping him. Endeavor would start to blush as she would think this in her mind. Why am I acting like a goddamn high schooler? God! Why am I even fucking blushing? He's basically younger than me. She would basically start, saying that in her mind as we go back to Izuku. Izuku would basically be there trying to find, Ida, as when Izuku goes into an alleyway, Izuku would see, Ida basically on the ground about to be killed by this girl with a sword and a pretty long, and I mean pretty long tongue if you get what I mean. So, Izuku would basically charge in with his sword as he would basically block the attack from that girl, as she would say this. So, who the hell are you? Wait a minute. She would basically looks towards him as she would say this. So you must be that boy with that quirk. As Izuku would say this. Sorry, but it's not really a quirk. It's more like a power than anything else. As he would basically start to create clones as he would say this. I'll try and take care of, Ida. You clones try and take care of that girl over there. That, villain. As she would say this. I consider you as a great opponent, but I won't let you touch that girl. She's nothing more than a disease. She's nothing more than a fake hero. As Izuku would just glare at her as he would basically say this. Don't you dare say that. As she would basically look towards him saying, why? I mean, you boys always get, always been, how do we say this? Wait first. You boys have always been oppressed by these people that you call heroes. And why do you want to protect her in the first place? As Izuku would say this. She saved me, for God's sakes. As when she heard that, she would say, what? As Izuku would explain his whole situation. As he would say this. But you probably won't understand after all. You're nothing more than a villain. Or maybe not. As she would say this. What do you mean by that? As Izuku would say this. I know you're trying to become a villain, or should I say a vigilante, because of your beliefs. As she would say this. Good eye. As Izuku would say this. I'm not here to fight you, but I am here to save my master. As she would say this. Master. As Izuku would say this. Yes, she's basically the one that's keeping me alive. Without her, I could have died. I should be going. As Izuku would start to leave, as, the girl, which was Stain, would basically, try to chase after him. But his two clones would basically, start clashing with her. As when Izuku arrives back at the, agency of, Endeavor, Endeavor would be there with Hawks, as Izuku would bring, Ida to his, to her, I guess you can say a stretcher. As one of them would say this, specifically Endeavor. Are you okay there? As Izuku would say this. Yeah, I'm pretty much fine. After all, I still have my healing runes on hand. As Izuku would basically grab one of his healing runes as he would start to heal, wait for a second. As he would start to heal Ida. So, after healing her, he would say this. Alright guys, I want all of you to get out of here. Because this noble phantasm is definitely going to be terrifying for both of you. Actually, all of you in particular. And this noble phantasm can certainly take down all of these Nomus in an instant, so it's better to tell everybody here to basically get out of the city. As all of them would basically be wondering what the heck is he thinking. As, Todoroki would say this. What are you doing? I mean, you're basically trying to, commit suicide at this point. As Izuku would say this. I said get out! As everybody would hear this, as Izuku would say this. I'm gonna be using my noble phantasm to save everybody. And this noble phantasm is quite powerful, but also quite traumatizing for everybody else. So, I want you to bring every single villain, every single hero, every single civilian out of here, and I'll take care of the Nomus. Got it? As when Endeavor heard about this, and also, wait for a second, and also Hawks, they would basically, accept that request, and they would start to leave with the rest of the heroes there, basically reporting all of them. As Izuku would say this, well then, let's do this. As Izuku would start to chant his noble phantasm, rage, blood, sacrifice, and slaughter. Let me become London's doomsday. As his body would start to shift and peel, as he would start to become even more demonic, resembling this. After fully changing, he would scream out, "From hell!" As the entire area would start to change, transforming into a burning, almost hellish version of London, as the Nomus would be confused, including a few people there. One of them was Shigaraki. As Shigaraki would say this, "What in the hell?" As one of them would say this, specifically Konigiri, "I'm guessing it's because of that boy, Izuku Midoriya." As when Shigaraki heard of this, she would say this, "That boy. So, he has some sort of reality-bending quirk or something?" As a person would basically come out of there, specifically a portal, and this girl seems to be wearing a beautiful black dress, and on top of that, seems to be wearing a tuxedo basically over that dress. As she would say this, "Yeah, it seems so." As she would say this, "Master, what are you doing here?" As this master of hers was All For One. And unlike in canon, she doesn't have the whole, scar thing, specifically on her face. But instead, she kind of looks like, just imagine, Karumi, I think that's her name, from, Date Alive, but except, with white hair and, without the, clock eye or whatever it's called. So, as when she saw all of this, she would say this, "It's quite a wonderful quirk. And I also heard it's not really a quirk at all. He's quite interesting. Don't you think, Shigaraki?" As Shigaraki would say this, "Whatever." She would basically say that, as she would see all of the Nomus basically attracted to that area, and they started charging in, including the Nomus that, All For One was controlling. As she would say this, "What are you all of you doing? Get back here!" As the Nomus would not comply, but instead started charging in, getting ready to attack Izuku. As Izuku would be in this, transformed state, transforming into the demon that he was meant to be, thanks to the help of, Jack the Ripper's noble phantasm. As Izuku would make multiple clones, as these clones would basically rip apart all of these Nomus in an instant. And remember, this noble phantasm works in this way. The more people that are around, the stronger he becomes. And because he's able to clone himself, well, he's basically overpowered as hell. So, Izuku would basically start cloning himself, as several versions of him, or at least demonic versions of him, would basically start killing all of the Nomus, as Shigaraki would be impressed. Including, All For One, as she would start thinking in her mind, he's quite powerful. Maybe I should make him a candidate for my husband. She would basically start to smile, as after Izuku slaughters all of these Nomus, he would scream out as all of his, clones would basically start looking at the direction of All For One and Shigaraki. Shigaraki would basically tell, wait for a sec, tell Konigiri to basically teleport them away, as Konigiri would comply and basically teleport them away from the, impending doom that's coming upon them. As they would see, when they're, about a few seconds, almost about to get attacked by all of these, monstrous versions of Izuku, well, they thankfully escaped. Kind of. For Shigaraki, she almost got a piece of her, I guess you could say bangs cut off, as she was completely terrified after, almost getting killed by that guy, as she would think in her mind, what the hell was that monster? She would basically start, hyperventilate as she would start to think in her mind, that kid, he's a monster. She would basically see that to herself, as, All For One would basically, stroke her chin as she would say this. Perfect husband material, she would say that to her mind, as all of the, villains there would basically start, looking at Shigaraki and thinking in their minds, what the hell happened to her? After, Izuku almost got her, Izuku would scream out, shit! I let her go away! I let her got away! God damn it! As Izuku would slam his fist into the ground just like in the photo, as Izuku would basically start to transform back into his normal form. After transforming back, the area around him would start to transform back as well. As all of the people there, specifically, the heroes, would basically start running back towards, Izuku's locations, as they would see the large crater and also the battlefield that, Izuku was fighting on when he was in that state. They would see several Nomu body parts basically, scattered all around the, place. As they would see several blades, spears, and many other weapons basically fired, like for example, guns, and also the spear. His, or at least a copy of, Gaibolga. So, after, everybody was let into that, area once again, well, one of them specifically, as Ida would basically start running towards the, where Izuku is, as everybody's basically, telling her, wait for us! So, after she, made it towards, where Izuku's basically, in, she would basically, run up to him as she would say this, Izuku, are you okay? As Izuku would say this, I'm fine. She got away. As one of them would say this, specifically, one of the heroes, specifically, what is it? As Hawks would say this, who do you let go? Or at least, who got away? As Izuku would say this, the villains who created this damn mess. As everybody would just be in shock, as Izuku would say this, yeah, I sort of, shit. As Izuku would basically, start to stand up, as he would realize that he's completely shirtless. As all of the girls, specifically, Todoroki, Hawks, and also, Endeavor would start nosebleeding as they would think in their mind, damn, he's hot. God damn it. As Izuku would say this, if I was a bit faster, I could have. As Izuku would start to become a little bit mad, as, Ida would say this, hold on, Izuku, you did all you can, okay? Just be happy that we defeated them, and we saved the city. As Izuku would say this, yeah, I guess so. As Izuku would basically, go onto one knee, as he would basically, start to pant a little. As, Ida would say this, are you okay, Izuku? As Izuku would say this, yeah, I just need more mana. As she would basically prick her finger, as Izuku would start licking on her, finger. As when the girls saw this, well, one of them specifically, wait for a second, Todoroki would basically start to become a little bit, flustered, including both, both Hawks and also, Endeavor. As, Todoroki would say this to herself. Damn, I wish it was me. She would basically think in her mind, and remember, she sort of has daddy issues, because remember, her father, Ray, sort of died thanks to, Endeavor. So yeah, she sort of has daddy issues. So yeah. So, after that, internship, they would start to go back towards, to UA to go back to their dorms. And so, Izuku would basically go back to his, dorm room with, Ida, as both of them would basically fall asleep, to the detriment of the other girls in Class 1A and also Class 1B, because they really wanted to sleep with Izuku. Not in that way, as in, sleeping together, as in, basically taking a nap together, not in the, sexual way, I guess you could say. So yeah, so, this is going to be the end of this episode, and damn, I sort of made this a bit longer than I used to make my videos. So yeah, let's just end this video right up here. So this is going to be the end of this episode, and so I hope you liked the video, comment and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye bye!